Today on the podcast, I'm joined by Michael Marchetti, owner of Columbus Park, a longtime staple in Stamford's dining scene and one of city's most beloved restaurants. Beyond the kitchen, Michael is deeply involved in the community, supporting local events, working with a number of local organizations, and serving on the boards of Stamford Downtown, the Connecticut Restaurant Association, and so many more. Please welcome my guest, Michael Marchetti.
PJ, how are you?
How are you?
Great, thank you.
Thanks for joining me. This episode is brought to you by Juice Kings. What started as a small juice spot has now become a local staple for healthy living. Their expanded menu features handcrafted superfood smoothies, acai bowls, cold-pressed juices, wellness shots, nourishing snacks, and more. They even cater corporate events. Juice Kings has always believed in the power of healthy eating, and the team aims to inspire the community to live well. And while you're there, don't forget to pick up Hey Stamford's Finest, named after yours truly, featuring a nutritious blend of banana, mango, strawberry, pineapple, and apple. Juice Kings is located at 36 Atlantic Street. For more, visit juice-kings.com. Looking for a place where your dog can feel safe, loved, and pampered while you're away? K9 Resorts Luxury Pet Hotel in Stamford offers award-winning care in a state-of-the-art facility designed with your pet's comfort in mind. Whether it's a fun-filled day of play or an overnight stay in a premium suite, your dog will enjoy personalized attention, climate-controlled rooms, and top-tier safety standards from trained professionals who treat every pet like their family. Discover why so many pet parents trust them with their furry loved ones. Visit k9resorts.com/Stamford and give your dog the luxury they deserve. Thanks for joining. This is podcast number 3 for me.
Yeah, excellent.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll tell you, when I first started talking about the podcast, I was building a long short list of all the guests I wanted to have on here, and you were top of that list.
Thank you.
So thank you. You and your family and your restaurant have been a staple in Stamford for a long time.
38 years.
Wow. Let's start at the beginning.
The very, very beginning, restaurant-wise, my Uncle Mike opened his first restaurant on the Stamford-Darien border.
Okay.
It was called Rugantino's.
Got it.
It's across the street from what is Giovanni's now.
Got it.
And he opened that in the mid-70s. I want to say like 74 or 75.
Okay.
And my mom worked there as a cocktail waitress during the day. Yep. My dad was an engineer for a local company, and he would work there on the weekends as a waiter to make some extra money. And when I was going into high school, my mom wanted to help my dad with our tuition. We were going to Fairfield Prep.
Got it.
And I have a brother, Frank, who was going to follow me the very next year.
Got it.
So she started.
So that tuition's adding up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this is back in 1984, 83, 84. So my mom and her cousin bought a little pizza place in Norwalk. And we made pizzas from summer of 83 to about late fall. Then we closed it. My Uncle Mike helped them remodel it. And it was a 35-seat small restaurant. It was called Maria's Trattoria. And that winter of 84, we got a write-up from the Connecticut section of the New York Times, Patricia Brooks.
Wow.
She gave us 2.5 stars.
Great. Which
was like, 5 Michelin rating or something.
Yeah.
And it just literally took off.
Amazing.
A year later, my uncle joined my mom and my dad, and they opened up a second location in South Norwalk called Apulia. They bought the building there. And then in 87, they had the opportunity to come to Stamford. My uncle, having already had his restaurant in Stamford, wasn't really keen on coming downtown.
Yeah.
And he had a real estate friend of his, a realtor, who kept pushing it. I was like, Mike, there's a great opportunity. So he went down. The restaurant was called Mems,
Okay.
It was a mother-daughter team, I think. And my uncle loved the location. My parents loved it. And they bought the building.
Wow.
And they opened a restaurant. It was called Columbus Park Cafe. It was a French-themed cafe that a buddy of my Uncle Mike's managed. Things weren't working out for him, and somewhere in late 87, they took it over. My uncle literally made a sign. It said Trattoria. He covered the word cafe on the front of it, changed the menu to all Italian.
Just like that.
And it just literally exploded.
Wow.
Because there really wasn't much downtown. I think Il Falco was already open. You had Papa's next to us, Bobby's. Pizzeria Uno was across the street.
Oh, wow.
On the corner of Lower Summer in Maine, there was a restaurant called Bourbon Street. It's where Cafe, the Riviera Maya is now.
Okay.
And then throughout Stamford, you had obviously Polici's, you had Ederucci's, you had Armando's.
Yep.
So you had a few other places,
Right.
but they were all outside of downtown.
Right. Downtown looked a little different back then.
It was very, very different.
Yeah.
Very, very different.
What was that like? I mean, that strip alone. There's a famous story of Bobby Valentine going out with a baseball bat and kind of clearing the hood a little bit.
So that was just before we opened.
Yeah.
But it was. I mean, I was 87. I was 17 years old. I was a junior in high school. So I mostly worked at that time in Norwalk, at the two Norwalk locations.
Yep.
So I don't really remember. I just remember downtown looking very different.
Right.
The mall was opened at the time.
Right.
So that was really the center of everything.
Right.
There used to be a movie theater across the street. It was an X-rated movie theater.
That's right.
You had the hotel. I think it was called the Roger Smith Hotel, on Washington Boulevard. There were a few other businesses. Mill River Park was nothing like it is today. You had Caldor's, which the building is gone now.
Yeah.
So the downtown looked totally different.
Right.
And but the restaurant just really started to pick up steam, and the DSSD was just starting to get formed. I think Mayor Esposito was in office, and then Dan Malloy came.
Yep.
And that's when things really started to change.
Right.
A lot of businesses came in.
Sure.
And we just kind of grew with it.
Right.
We were a very popular restaurant. And
you said 38 years?
38 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that was that's the nuts and bolts of how the restaurants all started. Right. Then how I really got involved. I think I always knew I was going to be in the restaurant business. And, I went to prep, went to UConn, Stamford, but any chance I had, any shift they needed to fill, I took it.
You were there.
I was running to the restaurant.
Right. So you weren't forced to be in the business. You wanted to be there.
My dad always had us on a schedule, my uncle, whoever it was, and we just ran with it. And as the years went on, I didn't have any formal culinary training, but I remember I was 13 years old, and we had some seasoned chefs, and they would just plop down bushels of chowder clams.
Yeah.
Hand me a clam knife, open them.
Right.
And I would just sit there with my little hands and just get shards of shells stuck in my fingers, but I was determined to open up all those clams. Right. They would give me boxes of tomatoes, dice those tomatoes. And that's all I did. I would tenderize the veal or cut chicken breasts, and just whatever they wanted me to do. Yeah. I did. I loved being in the kitchen. My brother Frank was more adept at being on the floor. So we had a great system, and we just loved working. And I loved putting money in my pocket. Right. At the end of the day, that's really what it is. Yep. And as a young person,
18, 19, 20, you're getting money.
And getting, but even before that, like 15, 16, getting a lot of recognition from my peers who were twice my age.
Right.
They could rely on me because, working in a kitchen, like any other job, but it's a team. And if one part of the cog doesn't work, the wheel doesn't spin. And then having customers, because it was kind of an open kitchen, peek their heads in and say, hey, great job. I love the spaghetti tonight. I love the veal. You did a great job. Made me feel like I had value, I was important. So I think, it pushed me away from studies. And then in 93, my dad had a massive stroke, which left him unable to go back to work. So at that point, I dropped out of school. I had actually started a job with Labatt USA in Darien.
Oh, okay.
The Monday morning was my first day. They actually gave me a signing check. That night, my dad had a stroke.
Wow.
I called in, told my boss I wasn't able to make it on Tuesday. Wednesday, I went back. I handed him the check, and I said I have to take care of my family's business.
Wow.
So that was it. And from there, it just took off. And, I'm very grateful from it. I met my wife all because of it.
Right.
We have 5 kids. They all work or have worked in the restaurant. I have 5 siblings. All my nieces and nephews that are able to work all come to the restaurant and work.
Right.
So it's really a family event. My mom still is involved every day in the restaurant. My dad and my uncle are retired, but they're still they still have a presence.
Right.
So it really is a family event, and that's just my story.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned 5 kids. Mm-hmm. You're one of 6.
Yep.
It's clearly a big family. What's that like growing up in such a big family?
We didn't know anything else. Yeah. We you met somebody and it was too hard for my mom to explain who they were. That's your cousin. That's your aunt. That's your uncle. So, we would say, hey, Uncle John, hey, Uncle Pete, Aunt Rose, whatever. And until we found out that we had no blood connection, I think we're closer to these people than actual blood relatives. Right. So coming from a big family, you don't know any different.
Right.
So having, a big Sunday dinner with 20, 30 people.
Right.
Is nothing.
That's just a normal Sunday for you.
Yeah, I mean, we do it all the time. Our families, we have dinner with my siblings and my parents, and then extended family on a regular basis. I mean, it's like Christmas once or twice a month.
I love that. That's great.
It's great. It's great. It's great. And then the kids grow up with that, and they get a sense of family, community. They feel the importance of being around people. It was an easy transition into this hospitality business. Right. Because we were always hospitable at home.
Right.
It was just natural for us to fall into this industry.
It kind of turns into a little cliche, but I mean, going to Columbus Park, you are treated like family, right? Like the hospitality is at the forefront when you walk into that restaurant.
My brother has a saying, if you were to walk into Tarantino's, our Westport location, my brother always says, welcome home.
Nice.
And it really is. I've known you for how many years? Your parents, I've known for years.
Yeah.
Your parents' friends. I've gotten to see people have kids. Now those kids are having kids.
Right.
Those kids are coming in with their dates.
Yeah.
It's been 38 years. A lot goes on, and you get to know people very well. I mean, I have some very close friends that I made through the restaurant.
That's great.
Yeah, lifelong friends.
You mentioned Tarantino's. There's 3 restaurants.
Right now, so currently we have 3. So in 93, my dad got sick. My uncle and I bounced around. We were looking at different spots to open restaurants in downtown. Mm-hmm. And we ended up buying a building in Old Greenwich. And we opened a restaurant called the Plowsy on Sound Beach Avenue in 94. And I think a month or 2 before, we partnered with a group of guys that had a restaurant in Westport at the train station. It was called Henry's. prior to that, it was called Damien's. It was they played a lot of music, blues kind of bar.
Okay.
And the owner wanted us to help his son run it.
Yep.
And it just, over a very short period of time, we ended up taking it over. So that's Tarantino's in Westport.
Got it. And I want to say the year was 2013. The group of restaurants nominated, given the Hall of Fame award for the Restaurant Association,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that says a lot.
Yeah. It was a great honor. I had been on the board a few years, and they called me up and they said, we'd like to recognize your family's restaurant for all the work they've done over the years. It was a great sense of accomplishment and achievement for my parents and my uncle.
Right.
I was very happy for them because they're the ones that started it.
Right.
You know, they had a vision, and they passed it along to my brothers and I and my sister, and we kind of are moving it forward.
Right.
So it was a great honor. Yeah, it was a great honor.
That's awesome. I think that's the second Hall of Fame restaurant in Stamford.
Yes,
with Polici's, right?
Yeah, just got in 2 years ago.
Yeah, another great honor.
Another great honor.
Yeah.
Great family.
Yep.
And it's funny, my parents live on Carriage Drive, and the Polici's, a couple of Polici's
right
live
around
on.
there, too.
Yeah, it's a great restaurant street.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, actually, speaking of that, this is kind of off topic, but my dad grew up on 3rd Street where Senator Joe Lieberman lived.
Yep.
There was also 3 other mayors that lived around the area
Oh, no
also.
kidding.
So my dad always joked, like, if you want to be in politics, you
Get
move
on
over
3rd
that
Street.
road.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember your mom and dad coming to the restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
So many times.
Yep.
So many times.
I mean, you already said it, but I mean, there's so many familiar faces that you must see so often that are in and out of there. That it's great to see, and it says a lot about the business and the hospitality and the food. Right?
Yeah, it's. I think that's the most rewarding part, is when people come in, you know, because in Stamford, a lot of corporations, so there's a lot of business people that come in from all over the country, and it's not uncommon for someone to walk in and say, you know, I used to work at Olin Corp. We were here in 1987, and we moved away in 1992, and I used to have the veal chop all the time, and I just had it tonight after 30 years, and it's exactly the same as I remember it. To me, that is the greatest accomplishment, the greatest compliment, rather.
Right.
The consistency.
Right.
I think that's what people really appreciate.
That's it.
That's what people really appreciate.
I got to tell you, I grew up getting the pasta there. Amazing.
Thank you.
Right. Your mom.
She makes it, every day.
Homemade. Then I was introduced to that pork chop, and it changed my life.
It's a life-changing event.
Yeah.
It really
I can't get
is.
away from it. It's all I get when I go in there.
Yeah. So when the pandemic came and we were able to start having indoor dining again, this is probably like 2002, we started having supply chain issues.
Okay.
And we weren't able to get products. It was
Right.
everybody. It wasn't just us. It was a national problem. Pork chop was one of them. And we had this one gentleman who I won't mention his name, but he came in with a large group of people. They sat down at a table, and I went up, to get a drink order or something, and I overheard them talking like, okay, I'm going to get the pork chop. I'll get the pork chop. Oh, we're all going to get 8 pork chops. Okay. So the gentleman looked up at me and he said, Mike, make sure we have 8 pork chops. So I kind of laughed. I said, Danny, I'm sorry, but I don't have them tonight. He's like, what? I said, Danny, I don't have the pork chops tonight. What do you mean? And he started dropping F-bombs. He got really upset.
Business.
I mean, he was very, very mad. And I said, Danny, it's not, it's not us.
Right.
We just can't get them. We can't find them. His colleagues had to calm him down. He was so upset. So I said, listen, as soon as we get them, I'll call you.
Right.
And he came in alone. I bought him dinner. He was happy as anything. But yeah, it's one of those dishes that I think it was just voted the most iconic dish in Stamford.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I think it's Stanford Magazine or one of the,
It makes sense. It definitely should be. That's great.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? What's your go-to meal?
What's my go-to meal? Honestly, I love chicken cutlets.
Yeah. Right.
I'll do a chicken parm. I'll do an eggplant parm. Pasta. I like everything.
Right.
I like everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now, how often are you in the kitchen?
So actual kitchen down in the restaurant, it's been years.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of off-site catering.
Right.
Last night I did a dinner party for about 20 people in Greenwich. So I was in the kitchen. I brought a helper with me and I brought some wait staff. So my guys do most of the heavy prepping, and then we transport it all over and I finish cooking and plating and all there. And we'll do dinner parties for 10 people. I'll do weddings for 150 people. Right. I did an event for 500 people at the Italian Center.
Nice.
A fundraiser event. So there's no party too big or too small that we won't handle.
I'll tell you, my wife is an amazing cook, but if I could get Michael Marchetti into my kitchen, I would take it.
Oh, yeah. Just got to donate to a charity and you could have it.
Well, actually, so that's actually a good transition because the Marchetti family, Columbus Park, I mean, you guys are notorious for being very charitable in town. Anytime that I'm at a local event taking photos, any nonprofits, any fundraisers, you guys are always there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember if, before I really got involved, if that was something that was a thing. But I remember, once I was on the DSSD board and a lot of schools, organizations were having galas and fundraisers.
Right.
They would always hit up restaurants for gift certificates. And then one day I donated dinner for a few people in the restaurant. And then somebody I think may have suggested like, hey, would you go to somebody's house? I said, yeah, I think I could do that.
Right.
And it's become a very popular donation item and it raises a lot of money. So, look, we may not be able to write a big fat check and say, here, this is our contribution. This is our way of giving.
Right.
We give to many organizations that I have no affiliation with other than maybe the person soliciting it is a customer.
Right.
There are a lot of charities that are near and dear to our hearts. I think it's just, our Italian upbringing, our Catholic, our religious upbringing, of giving and doing and being part of the community, just naturally comes out.
Right.
And we do it, with joy in our hearts and a smile, and we're very happy to help out.
That's great. That's wonderful. You mentioned church faith is a big part of your life.
Yeah.
Was that the case growing up in a big Italian family?
Yeah. From when I was a little kid, I remember, being an altar boy down at Our Lady Star to Sea in Japan, where we grew up. My dad in Italy had a lot of friends who became priests, and they would always come and visit during the summer. So we always had religious people in the house. It was just something that was, we didn't.
Right.
You didn't have any other choice.
Yep.
Sunday you went to mass, come home, Sunday dinner.
Right.
Every Sunday, same thing. Got up, 10 o'clock mass, came home. My mom made our tomato sauce with meatballs or lamb.
Yep.
My dad had to have it every single Sunday.
Really?
Every Sunday. If we didn't have pasta on a Sunday, something bad was going to happen. So to avoid bad things happening, we ate pasta.
You had to have it.
All the time. Sense. And that tradition still carries on today. We eat less and less pasta. But my kids, if, my wife says, I'm making lamb ragu, immediately everybody shows up. They all show up and 10 other people. So there's always a long table in the house all the time.
I want to talk about downtown a little bit.
Yeah.
We talked about it, what it was when you first got there. It's obviously changed a little bit. DSSD got involved. You've been a key part of that for many years, sitting on the board of the DSSD. There's 100 restaurants, more than 100 restaurants downtown right now.
It's amazing.
And anytime I talk to a restaurant owner downtown or in the surrounding area, they mention your name and they talk about how just pop in, check on them. How you doing? They want to learn from you. They want to understand what's going on. And I think that's just so important for someone that's such a seasoned business owner downtown in that area. Doesn't seem like you're looking to gain anything. You're just having a conversation with everyone.
Sandy Goldstein would always call me up and say, what do you think's going on? How is everybody doing? What are your concerns? And I would always tell her, Sandy, I think, restaurants on Bedford Street are complaining about this, or, restaurants in this part of the downtown need help with that. And she would put things into action.
Right.
And I it's just that role of reaching out to new restaurateurs coming in just kind of fell naturally to me. And I enjoy the camaraderie that we have.
Right.
My neighbor, Peter from Cuisina and Bar Americano, we text constantly.
Good.
From, hey, did you guys have a slow week this week? Did you guys have a busy week this week? To there's a shady guy walking the streets. Just, let's keep our eyes out.
Right.
Do we need to get this cleaned? Do we need to get this moved? Should we do an event here? It also stemmed from the involvement with Alive at 5, where we would have weekly meetings. And at that time, there were a lot of bars.
Right.
You had Art Bar, you had Bobby V's, you had Black Bear, you had Thirsty Turtle, Tiernan's. So we would all meet and discuss pregame plans for the concert, and then after the concerts, what went well, what went wrong, what should we work on? There were problems. So that's where I kind of learned that part of, if you want to call it mentoring skills, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So I kind of took it upon myself to, new restaurants come in, introduce myself, the opportunity was right, and just lend, if anything, an ear to whatever concerns they may have. And then from there, I, being on the Connecticut Restaurant Association board, brought it up to a different level.
Here you are at the state level now, right?
During the pandemic, I would sit on daily phone calls with the CRA on how we're going to get through it. And then I would have meetings with restaurants downtown and even throughout Stamford and kind of walk everybody through the process and what to expect, what to look for, how to get PPP money, how to do this, how to do that, So it wasn't a role that I was looking for.
Right.
It kind of just fell in my lap, and I've just accepted it, and I love helping out my colleagues.
That's great. I mean, that was certainly a time where everyone had to navigate something new, right?
Yeah, and I think we're still kind of reeling from it. We're out of it as far as the pandemic is gone. COVID is not as effective as it was, but the aftermaths are still felt today.
Yep.
And I think it'll take some time before we get that through our system.
Right.
People are still working from home. We could see retail has been affected. Because of COVID, you have this onslaught of Uber Eats and DoorDash and all of that. So we're navigating all those things. Pricing is up. Just so many different variables that have not really come back to pre-pandemic points.
Stamford downtown, when you probably first started, was full of just corporate business surrounding you constantly. Now you go into a different period where
It's
people
totally
are
flipped.
hardly going into the office.
Totally flipped.
Yeah.
It's, in our industry, if you have a good, solid lunch business, you say that pays your bills, that pays your rent, that pays your payroll, that pays all your utilities. And then what you do for dinner is where, it makes you successful or not. That's just totally changed.
Right.
If we used to average 60, 70 lunches a day, we're doing 30 now. And, we've kind of found a little niche of corporate catering, but it's not as consistent as just having a packed restaurant.
Right. Yeah.
So, you have to navigate through that. You don't see people walking around as much as before. Even at the government center, Mondays was a great bar night for us because people would be in the government center till 9, 10 o'clock with their zoning meetings, planning board meetings. All the board of reps would be there, and then they would go out in little groups, and groups would come to Columbus Park, sit at the bar, have late bite to eat, have a glass of wine. I mean, I would get home at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on a Monday.
Yeah.
Now, we do a good business, 10 o'clock, close the doors. By 10:30, everybody's gone.
Right.
It's just changed because everything is done on Zoom.
Yeah.
And if you're home doing a Zoom meeting, even during the day, the chances that you're going to say, okay, I'm going to get in my car now and go meet everybody for a drink, not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to, because maybe somebody's down in Florida doing that Zoom meeting or on the golf course, hiding in the clubhouse when they should be in their office. And so, you just don't see the foot traffic.
Right.
And downtown now has so many more people living.
Right.
I mean, it's all residential. When did you ever think that you would see school buses downtown Stamford?
Right.
You don't know how many times I'm stuck behind a school bus in the morning. And I'm like, what is going on? And there's dozens of kids on every corner.
Every corner.
I think it's great.
Right.
I think it's great, but it's just changed everything.
Dramatically.
Very dramatic. Very dramatic.
Michael Moore was just on the podcast recently. We were talking about the upswing in the residential downtown, and the numbers were just outrageous.
Outrageous. Yeah. Outrageous. Yeah. And Mike Moore is another guy who we are constantly in contact because he wants to know what we're feeling and how we see things from, boots on the ground.
Right.
And he's always calling, asking, what can we help you with? What can we do to make the dining experience for patrons better, for the residents, for corporate, just to navigate these certainly uncertain times.
Yeah, right. A lot of learning moments.
Yeah.
Dining outdoors has become a big thing over the last several years. I love to see the expansion of that. We just hit an interesting period where it rained forever, and now it just goes into 100 degrees.
I was looking at our year-to-date numbers from last June, and we're a little off. So I was looking at all the private events that I had, and I think we had a busier June this year than last year. And then it dawned on me. I said to my brother, Frank, look, it rained every weekend. So we have no outdoor dining. That could really be part of the problem. Of course, today it's 90 degrees with 130% humidity. It's like a swamp outside.
Right.
No one wants to sit outside either.
Yep.
So we can't win. The sun's out, but no one's sitting outside because it's too hot. But the outdoor dining, I think it's great. I think,
do too.
What the city's done to Lower Summer Street is fantastic.
It looks so good over there.
So good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you walk around downtown on any given evening, and all the patios are filled. It's beautiful. I mean,
It's a good site.
you've traveled to a lot of cities.
Yep.
Stanford's a unique city.
It is.
It's clean.
Right.
There's no graffiti. There's no trash.
Right.
Even when you get off the highways, I mean, you feel like you're in a safe, clean town
Right.
that has a lot of dining options, a lot of cultural options. Very unique. So the patios and the street closures have done wondrous things for us and for our
great.
image, for sure.
Yeah, it looks sharp down there.
I mean, can you imagine growing up when we were kids? We had
No.
nothing.
No,
We didn't
had
have
nothing.
any of these things. Oh my gosh. I tell my wife all the time, we should have lived down. I would have lived downtown when we
Yeah,
got married,
absolutely.
28 years ago.
Jeez. I mean, even the last 10 years have changed.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
Dramatically, yeah.
We mentioned Alive at 5 a little bit. And I don't want to get too much into it, but you were certainly a big presence down there. It was right in front of your restaurant. Any fun stories about those good old days?
Oh, I mean, we've had Mike Love of the Beach Boys ate upstairs, and I think we almost had to drag him out of the restaurant to get ready because we had a private party that was coming in on the second floor, and the principal of the company was from Houston, and Mike Love was having dinner upstairs alone. It had to be like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and the gentleman came in and they started talking, and like after an hour conversation, they discovered that they had friends in common.
Wow.
It was great. And I'm there just getting stuff ready, listening to it all, thinking like, that's Mike Love of the Beach Boys.
Right.
I mean, this guy's been
A legend.
a legend.
Right.
Rachel Platten came up there. She sang a song for a private group. Philip Phillips did a set in the second floor dining
Wow.
room. Felix Cavalieri from the Rascals hung out up there. Joe Bonamassa, so many talented musicians,
Wow.
tremendous acts, all hung up out there. Oh my goodness, who was the other guy? It was raining. The name escapes me. Joe Cicada? John Cicada?
John Cicada.
John Cicada.
Yeah.
It was a Wednesday night, and it started to downpour just as he got on stage. I think he sang a song or two, and everybody had to rush inside. So the restaurant was packed.
Right.
Everyone was soaking wet. It was hot. And on those nights, whatever, you threw out all the restaurant rules out the door.
Right.
It was a party. Everybody understood it, and everybody had a great time. And John Cicada comes in, and he starts singing to everybody in the restaurant. It was phenomenal.
Amazing.
Phenomenal.
What an experience.
Yeah, it was great. The run we had with Alive at 5 was fantastic.
Right.
I would not have changed it for anything. Like everything, it maybe ran its course,
Right.
and
But some good memories for sure.
a lot of good memories.
Yeah.
A lot of stressful memories. The restaurant took a beating because we're a 50-seat dining room,
Right.
and our kitchen is equipped to service 50 people,
Right.
not 250 people, all at the same time. We didn't change our menu. If you wanted ossobuco, you had ossobuco listening to Pat Benatar outside, just like you always had it. We didn't want to change anything for people. And it worked out in our favor. I think everybody really had a blast. I mean, we had standing reservations. PJ Kennedy would always have his table for
Right.
years and years and years.
Yeah.
We would call you to say, are you coming? Not that
Right.
you would call and say, I'd like to make a table.
Right.
So there were dozens of people that we had that kind of relationship with.
Just to talk about that for a second, that just says so much about the customer service and the hospitality again. I mean, it just goes back to that.
Yeah, the team we have is phenomenal. Telmo's been with us. My manager has been with us for almost 30 years. Henry in the kitchen, he's been with us probably the same amount of time. Everybody else 10 years, 15 years,
Right.
5 years, long time. They know our customers very well. They've become friends with customers. And when people walk in, they already know what Mr. Smith likes to drink, and that drink's already on the table.
Right.
They know what, Mrs. Jones likes to eat, and that's already been ordered.
Right.
And people appreciate that.
We talked about it earlier on. I mean, that stems from your family, but is there anyone in the hospitality industry that you look up to or admire for what they do?
Anybody like specifically? It's changed so much, especially with the advent of social media.
Yeah, right.
Everything is, people eat with their eyes.
Right.
You go on Instagram, you go on whatever other platform, and you see pictures of drinks and pictures of dishes and locations, and I have to have it. I have to have it. And that has brought on a younger generation that's much more creative, much more knowledgeable about the analytical part of the dining experience. So no one in particular, but I think that generation I admire a lot because they just elevate things. It used to be 30 years ago, you were more likely to find a bad restaurant than a great restaurant. Nowadays, you could find great bagels, have a great bagel experience. You could have a great, chai latte experience.
Right.
Anywhere.
Yep.
Because there's an appreciation for food and drink that wasn't there before on a broader basis. Cocktails. Whenever did you go into a restaurant and have a cocktail list like you have now? And some of these cocktails are just, absolutely amazing.
Yep. If there's someone that's looking to get into the restaurant business right now, what's one piece of advice you would give them?
Don't do it.
Saw that coming. It's tough.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I get asked all the time. Customers come in with their kids and they'll tell me that, my son loves to cook. He wants to be a chef. My daughter, loves the restaurant industry. She wants to, open her own place one day. And again, because it's changed and the younger generation comes into this industry at a different level than how I came in and a lot of my contemporaries and people before us, we worked like dogs. You used to get screamed at all the time.
Right.
Constantly. And like I said before, they would just put a bushel of clams in front of me and say, you have 10 minutes to open them. And if not, there was hell to pay. It's a little different now. There's a little bit more respect. There's a little bit more, a lot more nurturing, a lot more emphasis on the training and teaching.
Right.
It really wasn't like that. And before too, there was a lot of competitiveness amongst restaurant people. A lot of envy, restaurateurs are notorious for driving around and looking in other windows to see, are they busy? Why are they busy? I'm not busy.
Right.
There's that jealousy factor. What are they doing? Poaching of employees. And nowadays, it's not uncommon to find restaurant people having dinner with other restaurant people in another restaurant.
Right.
Sharing ideas.
Yep.
FaceTiming, sending messages, videos, collaborating. It really wasn't like that before.
That community kind of minded spirit.
That kind of didn't exist before. So what would I tell a young kid? You have to, take part of the old school, commitment, long hours. Be prepared to work 60, 70 hours.
Right.
And if you want it for yourself, be prepared to work 80, 90 hours. It's not conducive to family life. So you have to be prepared for that.
Yep.
I give my wife all the credit. She's been through a lot, and she's phenomenal. She really was supportive of me and my career, and it's been hard. I've missed a lot of little league home runs and graduations and birthday parties, but I guess I could have been digging ditches too. So
you're doing what you love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's great. We're going to wrap it up right now, but would love if you could share where people could find you, social media, websites, address.
Yeah, so our website is columbusparktrattoria.com, tarantinosrestaurant.com, and applausiosteria.com. Instagram, Facebook, I think that's it. I'm sure my kids are laughing at me right now. Dad, you're not being cool. Or just come down 205 Main Street. You'll find me there.
There you go. Perfect. Last question for you is, this is episode 3 of the podcast. If there's one guest you want to see on here in the future, give me a name.
Oh, boy. Who would I like to see? Well, if we're going to keep it in the food industry, you could definitely reach out to maybe Fran Polici from Polici's. You could maybe Frank Carini from Dairy Queen.
Yep.
That's a big spot. One of the brothers from Alisu Bagels.
Good ones.
Who else could you? Someone that's been downtown as far as like a business. Papa's Pizza has been there longer than us. Who else? I've got to give it some thought. I could text you a couple of names. I'm
perfect.
sure.
That's helpful. Quick question is Polici's the longest running restaurant in Stamford, then Papa's, then you guys?
Yeah,
right?
Probably. Who else would be longer? I don't know when Wedge Inn opened.
Oh, right.
Because they've been open for a long time.
Yeah.
Edarucci's is gone. Armando's is gone. Sorrento's, Mario the Baker, John the Baker. They've been there for a long time.
That's right.
Mike's Pizza, as far as, another pizza place.
Yeah, right.
They've been there for a long time. But as far as sit down, all the diners have changed hands for a long time.
Yeah.
Over the years. Yeah, I guess that's it. Tom Singari would be great here from the Singari family. Yeah, he's seen, a huge transition in his industry. Yeah, and his dad having passed away, and his uncles, and and what they've accomplished throughout the state. Yeah, great family. Great family.
Michael Marchetti, thank you, sir.
PJ, thank you. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Anytime. Thank you. You got it, pal. Thank you.